Paul as well and a few others keeping an eye on this. Just going back, we mentioned off the top this Canadian Rugby Championship, the 4 regions. The purpose is to get a test for those players that's above club rugby, that's obviously in between that and international rugby. Is that how you see it? Is that what you're getting out of this?
Absolutely. It's great to see the better players playing against the better players. I mean, you got the last game we saw there, Lesage matched up against Doug Fraser, 2 really good young players that have been involved in the group, recently toured to France competing for the same spot. And you know yourself, it just brings the level up, and it just brings the focus and also the intensity of the whole game. So that's what it's all about for me. And also get an opportunity to some younger guys at a different level, because some of the club rugby, it can be easier, and you can often make line breaks easier. And it's nice to see the likes of Grant Crowell, a great ball carrier.
Have an excellent game.
Yeah, very effective. But it's nice to see him playing against, running at Luke Campbell, and the difference that makes. So it's really important.
The other thing we've picked up is that, the Thursday semifinals are interesting, and BC probably a lack of passion they brought to it, that these players need to learn. They need to bring the intensity and the passion at every level they're playing at, not just when they're in a test jersey.
Yeah, look, it's been an eye-opener for myself. I mean, it looked like defence was optional last Thursday, and also restarts. And it's something I observed when I came in. The defence, before I came in, you know about that, but also a restart, and something we've really had to focus on with the national team. And it's evident here. I mean, the exception of the last 10 minutes of that game, there wasn't many restarts regained by the team that was receiving. So those are things nationwide that we need to focus on as coaches. And I thought there was a bit more intensity that one this morning. I'm sure the final coming up now will be pretty intense and pretty physical. Yeah,
well, for me, on BC boy, but Ontario BC was the big rivalry, and we didn't necessarily sense that on Thursday. A few other changes. We've seen some players in 15s jerseys they haven't seen for a while. Isaac Kay featured in that match. We're going to see a couple in the final, Andrew Coe, Lucas Hammond. Great to see these sevens athletes, rugby athletes, let's call them what they are. A few changes which we alluded to in the broadcast. The 7 to 15 programs working together, coming together as a group. Still a priority for us to do well on the World 7 Series, but the 15s program won't be isolated so much. Is that fair? And great to see the likes of Isaac Kay in a 15s jersey.
No, absolutely. It brings something here, The work rate off the ball from Isaac today was particularly impressive. And a guy who can play a couple of positions at 15s, So seeing these guys back in the mix, competing with the guys who've been regular 15s players. But ultimately, I'm a huge fan of 7s myself, and it's a great way to introduce youngsters and all sorts of people into the game, but at the end of the day, it is rugby.
And let's take that example, that last game, Kay coming around the corner at pace, left-handed pass required, came across bang on with pace, and some of the 15s players not quite at that skill level yet, so that's a great learning. Right?
Exactly right, and that's what the 7s game can do for you. It can fast-track you, develop you, not only on the field, the playing in environments, getting opportunities to play in front of 40,000 people. That's very difficult to replicate, and it's essential that we're really competitive in the 7s. My son, I will say it, he's 5 years on the 7 circuit with Wales. It's a big passion for myself and my family, but ultimately we feel we've got to be able to support both competitions. And
just one more on this, that it's not going to be like players are flipping back week to week, 7s jersey, 15s jersey. There's going to be a plan both in an S&C model and for competition model of these players over a year. They're just training as one group, but there still will be 7 specialists around.
Absolutely, every player will have a periodized plan which should be in place. They'll have targets, objectives, a clear plan and map of where they will be and when they will play. And as you rightly said, it's not for everybody. One thing I'd like to say, there's nobody being forced to play 15s. This is international sport, okay? If they want to play 15s and put their hand up, fantastic. And if the guys on the 15s want to put their hand up and be selected or potentially selected for the 7s, that's great as well. So it's a case of us all working together. What helps us develop in the carding system, having 18 guys training daily is a good thing, gets them fit and strong. It can improve skill levels, but it doesn't create that competitive environment. Skills under pressure, decision making. You need 30 guys on the field to take part in that practice. And with a new program, we'll have 40 guys around, good players that will create that competitive environment. And heading into tournaments, the players will separate off and we'll know who's preparing for what.
And a little bit before your time, but I was involved the last time we did this training together as a group, 7s and 15s. We were 6th in the world on the World 7 Series, and we qualified for the World Cup over victories over the U.S., so that's great. You talk about what's coming forward. Obviously, one eye on November, well, a couple eyes on November. The repechage qualification is so important for Canadian 15s to get to the Japanese World Cup 2019. That's a massive goal for us. You start September 4th back in Langford with the group, and then there's some more games, obviously, in preparation with ARC. And just give us a rundown of what the team's going to be up to.
Yeah, it's a big period for us. Obviously, September the 4th, and it's the run into the repechage in Marseille in November, as you said. So the next 4 or 5 weeks we'll be working on the conditioning skills block, and the 2 weeks there heading into Uruguay, where we'll play Uruguay A, Tonga A, and Argentina A, which is really essential preparation for our home local-based players. We'll come back for a week. We'll have probably a 5-day rest, back into some conditioning, and then we'll get the overseas players back into the mix. We're hoping the guys playing in New Zealand in the ITN Cup, we're hoping they go well, but if I'm honest, I'm hoping none of them go further than the semi-final, so they'll be available a little bit earlier to us. And then we'll go over, at the moment we're looking at going over to the UK on the first leg, and I'm going to camp there and play in 2 fixtures leading into the repechage in France.
So one of the things that identified the lack of high-level rugby, or not enough high-level rugby for the players, you've addressed that. You just come back from France, 2 matches there against top 14 opposition. I mean, a great test, and just talking to the players that are here, a huge eye-opener, I think, on the standards and the levels that are out there. What was your takeaway from France?
Well, it was a really successful 2 weeks. The team spirit. We did a lot of team building activities. A great bunch of guys. They work really hard. And to play against Castro, won the top 14 just a few months ago. Look, they were fully loaded for big parts of the game. The first game we split it into 20-minute blocks. Second half we were 14 points unanswered just after the half time, which gives our team a lot of confidence. Clermont are possibly the favourites this year. Yeah. I was a bit worried going into it. They beat Toulon in Toulon by 50 points the week before we played them, and it was their last hit out before this season's top 14, so they were pretty strong guys with a number of caps, guys earning €1 million a year.
So very similar wage packages between Toulon, Clermont and Rugby Canada. Always working.
Well, I think there was probably one player in each of those teams that would cost the whole package, but the key thing was, we started 15 minutes in, we were 8-0 up, and I think Clermont were quite surprised with that, but we couldn't deal with their physicality off first phase. They scored 5 unanswered tries at half-time. We're facing, a bit of a challenge, but actually the second half it was 14-7, and that's what we got to focus on, those positives. Some really good play from everybody involved, so we've come back happy, and a great experience for our younger players.
Good stuff. And just final question, you've got it now confirmed, our opposition for the repechage, Kenya, interesting, using some sevens players themselves, Big William Baka scoring tries. They're the final team. Kenya, Hong Kong, Germany. Just overview what you're expecting.
Well, I'm expecting well-organised, well-drilled teams. Hong Kong are well-coached. They've got a number of different nationalities in their team, which will give them a lot of experience. And also Kenya, we expect anything can happen off a break, a loose ball. And finally, Germany is full of big South African fellas that well-coached, that will offer us a big challenge at set piece.
Well, good. It's almost like you've done this before. Thank you for your time. Can I put you on the line for a prediction? Ontario or Atlantic Rock? Which one?
Am I allowed to say? It'll sound favourite. I'm going to go for the Rock.
All right. There we go. Kingsley Jones, your head coach. Off to the anthems. Thank you.